I'm back and I'm still cool. Today, we're talking about the history of the playlist. Ooh, this is a good one! I have been so excited to make this video. There I was sitting in my bed scrolling through my playlist and I found myself thinking, now how the fuck did we get here? Making little lists of music to listen to, why it's called that, who invented it, why I'm still doing this with my hand. So then my journey into dissecting the playlist and understanding its anatomy myself began. On the BBC Radio 1's website, there is really quite a succinct and detailed history of the playlist, so we're gonna walk each other through that right now, except you're not here, I'm here, so I'm gonna walk you through it. Can you tell how excited I am to talk about this? We begin in 1918, where there's an apparatus that's patented that automatically changes the records on the jukebox, and that leads to one of the first selective jukeboxes being invented in 1927. So the ones you go up to and you're like, this song, this song, this song, and they go, okay, and they select it for you. See how they got the name? And then not even a decade later, in 1935, the American radio superstar Walter Winchell coins the term disc jockey for the first time.
It's time, America. Time for Walter Winchell.
He was talking about his little friend, Martin Block. Martin was the first person who became popular for playing, like, the good stuff over the air, while everyone else was like, hey, there's a peanut farmer in the White House. This guy was like, hey, this is a good song.
Hello, everybody. This is Martin Block welcoming you to the musical merry-go-round.
A good 30 years passes from this point and not much changes. We've got Walter Winchell, we've got Martin Block, they're playing the tunes, they're spreading the news, okay? Not until 1964 did we see the next major shift in the way that we're listening to and consuming music. The mass production of blank cassette tapes started to begin in Hanover, Germany, and obviously we know that cassettes went on to become one of the most popular ways to listen to, record, reorder music. Here we go, girl. This is where we begin to pick up some speed. It's 1971. We're in the UK. We're vibing. We're living our life. Queen Elizabeth is sitting pretty in Buckingham Palace. And what's number one on the UK charts? Motown Chartbusters Volume 3. What? It's a compilation album? Why, yes, ma'am. For the first time in history, a compilation album has topped the charts. And just a year later, Mary, over in the land of the free, the first recorded use of the word playlist is used on the radio to discuss DJs doing their fucking thing. We'll give you 10 years of the radio playlists, and then what happens in the 80s? Oh my god. Actually, I have one right here. Walkmans come out. Well, actually, wait. CDs come out. And then the Walkmans come out. Right? Remember that? So Miss CD came in and took her cousin cassette, grabbed her by the tape, and threw her out back, beat the shit out of her, and said, why don't you step up to my fucking level, you dumb fucking bitch, and see if you could do what I do. See if you could do what the fuck I do. And look the way I do, doing what I do. You could never give the girls what I give the girls. You could never give the children what I give the children because you're not giving them anything and I'm feeding them. What do you call it when you put a CD in the fucking radio, idiot? Feed the machine the CD. Did I just make that up? In 1982, CDs became the most popular way to listen to, store, and again, reorganize music. Pirate music. Cool, it's the 80s. We're vibing. We're listening to our Walkmans. We're walking down the street in our high-waisted jeans. Suddenly a deadly virus starts to rip through my community. And then it's the turn of the century. Have you heard of what happened in 2001? Apple releases their first iPod.
And we are introducing a product today that takes us exactly there. And that product is called iPod. iPod is an MP3 music player, has CD quality music, and it plays all of the popular open formats of digital music. MP3, MP3 variable bitrate, WAV, and AIFF. But the biggest thing about iPod is it holds 1,000 songs.
So fine that I really want to make you mine. 4, 5, 6, come on and get your kicks. Now you don't need the money when you look like that, do you, honey?
2001, not even 30 years ago, girl, was the first time you could listen to your own music, shuffle your songs that you have on the go, okay? This was crazy. Because when you had Walkmans, you had to have the ability to carry 900,000 different CDs that you made. Where now we're in 2001, it's the future. It's this tiny little tic-tac you can shove in your pocket, your kids can swallow it, they can die, or you can shuffle the Bee Gees and live your life on the fucking train. And then later in 2001, this company called Rhapsody became the first company to offer like an online streaming service based thing that wasn't just like a radio feed, an FM feed, an RSS feed. I don't know which one of those is correct, but it wasn't that. It wasn't the radio. It was like, oh, here's music and we have licensing that can, right? Rhapsody also became Napster. If you remember, hey Napster, whoa. By the time we get to 2005, the playlist has become pretty much what it is today. It's something you can create, it's something you can use, it's part of the music listening and particularly the music streaming experience, whether it be radio first or then onto the online services. And speaking of online, in 2005, Pandora was the first streaming service to ever offer a sort of digitally curated radio station playlist-esque feature to where it was just influenced by the user's interaction with their algorithm. So cool. That's how we get playlists to be where they are today. It's a group of music that we like. It doesn't have to be from the same album anymore because the technology that we have allows us to now put it on one single device. We can shuffle the order of the playlist and get it randomized. Or now we're starting to see things with the invention of the internet and different types of social media algorithms and different types of user platforms to where the service itself is creating playlists that are custom curated to the listener. This brings me to Spotify. Spotify changed playlists. I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse, but they changed them. And they changed them in a big way. Spotify was the first platform to use playlists as like a commercial tool, like the Billboard charts, like the iTunes chart. And through Spotify using their playlists in that way, this business came out of music curation to where like you really want to be on this playlist because now we're not in a physical age of music media anymore. We're all digital, we're all streaming, and if you're on this playlist, you'll get heard more, you'll get played more, which means more money in your pocket. So because Spotify utilizes their playlists in the way that they do and the way that they have, over time there's been this development of like 3 subcategories of the playlist. There's user-created playlist, which is just what you and me create, listening to ourselves. Nobody's involved except your listening ears and your musical heart. And then there's the algorithm playlists. That's what whatever streaming service you're listening to makes for you. So Apple Music makes them, Spotify makes them, Pandora very famously started that trend. And then there's the editorial playlists, which is the ooky spooky part, because that's where this little business started. That was never ever a thing before in like music curation. It was very, very popular to be like, oh, I make really good playlists, I'll make you a great mixtape. But now there's this thing that happens where, well, you should really want to be on this playlist because if you're on this playlist, you'll be listening to more because we're not necessarily. But does your song have to be good to get on that playlist? Or does your team's pockets have to be very deep to get on that playlist? Do you see what I'm talking about? And this didn't start with Spotify. This started with a company that Spotify hunted and bought called Tunigo. Let me take you to 2013. Tunigo was this online streaming platform that was very popular for all of the playlists they made. They were the first place online that you could go to get really curated, really niche, really specific playlists. And when Spotify saw that and saw how much success they were having, both in their site traffic and in the money that they were generating, Spotify began the process of acquiring that company and their technology.
How much can your pocket hold? How about 15 million songs from all over the world? During the last century, music consumption has changed dramatically. And today, with Spotify, you have the ability to have this massive amount of music right inside your mobile. So, how do you make the most of this massive collection of songs? We are proud to present a truly revolutionary app that helps you listen to the best and most relevant music and uncover hidden musical gems as well as playlists that you'll be sure to love. Tunigo is the greatest way to find music within Spotify because we feature custom playlists based not just on music styles, but also on occasions, events, moods, and more. We help open your mind to new music.
This is where the editorial playlists began. This is a quote from the Spotify playlist team. The team themselves have described their editorial playlists as the driving force behind music discovery and demand creation on its platform. Okay, what about people just wanting to listen to music? Never mind. And remember, this is in 2013, which is considered like the streaming boom of music history. This was the first time where an indie, unsigned artist finally had the opportunity to be thrown to the wolves in front of a major audience and find immediate and a lot of times lasting success, because this was a brand new way to experience and enjoy and receive music, to discover artists, to interact with artists because of the way that Spotify was using almost a social media aspect to their streaming platform. Spotify noticed this and Spotify understood this implicitly, which is why they saw the value in those editorial playlists. It's a lot easier to get a bunch of smaller unsigned artists who have a couple $1,000s laying around to pay to get onto these playlists than it is to get to these major labels and say, hey, will you invest in our company? Will you put your artists on these playlists? And that's exactly what happened. That is part of the reason we had a streaming boom. So by the end of 2013, Spotify had a really good understanding of how to generate playlists and how to get users to generate playlists and how to get users to want to utilize playlists more so than just one-off songs, one-off singles, or just playing the same album over and over and over again. So let's walk through the 3 types of playlists in detail that you can now find pretty much across every major streaming platform. And this is directly because Spotify acquired Tunigo in 2013. You have editorial playlists. So these are curated by music and genre experts. They have extremely large followings in the millions, oftentimes tens of millions. And what's interesting is these playlists have gatekeepers. They use smaller, like feeder playlists to help choose what's going to go into the bigger ones. Isn't that crazy? So if you're an artist trying to get onto like today's top hits or whatever the fuck it's called, your song might be put on a smaller playlist with 100, 200,000 listeners for a few weeks to see what's going on algorithmically on the back end of Spotify. And then if you're lucky, your little fish of a song might get fed into the bigger pond. And there's steps to it. It just goes up and up and up and up. What the fuck? And lastly, these editorial playlists are almost always genre specific. Spotify realized that not everyone is going to listen to the same genre of music all the time, all day long. So this is where the algorithmic playlists come in. These are the things like your Discover Weekly, your Release Radar, and they're automatically generated by the streaming service you're listening to, and they're based off of the user's listening habits. They have nothing to do with what's going on in the top charts. They have nothing to do with any sort of artist's influence or their team's influence. It doesn't have anything to do with Spotify teams. It's all algorithms. And lastly, there's user-generated playlists, which are the bread and butter of Spotify. Yes, the editorial playlists make a lot of money. Yes, the algorithmic playlists bring a lot of first-time users in, but these user-generated playlists have also become a way for a lot of people to bring in a little bit of extra income. If you have what people consider to be really good music taste or have a really good ear for what's up next, you will get paid a lot of money by someone to put their song on your playlist, or you will get a lot of gratification just knowing that you're providing this service to a lot of people around the world. And creating playlists because of this has become like an art form. It's become a really good way of cataloging music, serving music to people in a way that's new, fresh, modern, and can always and consistently be updated. So where are we at now? We have Apple Music doing things like Discovery, which is a whole page on your Apple Music app that is exactly what it sounds like. Feeds you new songs, new artists that the algorithm, because it's algorithmically based, thinks you'll like. Also, something that Spotify pioneered that is taking off across a lot of different streaming platforms is recaps. Recaps are becoming a pivotal part of the music listening experience. What did I listen to all year long? Who was my top artist? What was the top genres I listened to? And now even Apple Music is piggybacking and doing a recap every single month. So we're getting even more refined, more detailed, algorithmically generated analytics of what we're listening to. It's all becoming very digital, very modern. I think it's really cool. What's not cool is the way that you make money with these streaming platforms, because now really the only way that you can make money is landing your ass on a really good playlist. And that makes you beg the question, who are these artists? Are we listening to them because they got very lucky and they've organically grown their career to a point where they've landed on these playlists? Or did they have $25,000 that they could pay to someone on some playlist behind the wall somewhere and land themselves in the same spot that somebody worked really hard to get to? Does that diminish the quality of one song over another? Does it say something about the artist as a whole? I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't put that much thought into it. This is all very new. But what else is new is that people are realizing there's no more money in streaming. It's just so oversaturated and these companies aren't paying people the way that they should be. So what's coming back? Vinyls. Physical media. Every single artist out there today is releasing their new albums on vinyl. Some people are even releasing singles on vinyls, which leads me to believe we are in a direct straight line back to 1971, because it's only a matter of time until Madam Swift puts out a vinyl compilation album, which goes to the top of the chart, which begins this whole process again of how did playlists become popular? How did we make playlists? What does it mean to have a successful playlist? What does it mean to be a curator of music? All of these questions makes you think, makes you wonder. History does this. Isn't that crazy? We're just so close to being in 1971 again. The #1 spot at the top of the charts being held by a compilation album. I think that's kind of silly. Well, that's all I got for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The likes help. I'm not kidding. I said this before, the likes help, girl. So like the video, even if you didn't fucking like me, just like the video and leave. Like it so you can remember to send it to your friends so you can hate watch me later. Also, if I made you laugh, if I made you smile, maybe if I taught you something new, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, please buy me a coffee. It's in the description. Let me know. Are you a playlist girl or are you someone who just kind of streams what they stream? Are you an album person? The summer Renaissance came out. I went through a whole phase where I really only listened to albums. If I was gonna listen to one song, I put the album on, didn't shuffle it, and just waited till I got to that song, and then I would just finish the album. In 2023, I went through a huge playlist phase where I made a playlist every single month of all the songs I was listening to that month. This year, I'm kind of just being a little bit lazy because that was a lot of work, I'll tell you that right now. So I put everything I listened to in just one big 2024 playlist. I'm pretty much doing the same thing as a recap at the end of the year, but it is what it is. Sue Lavu, girl. Also, if you have a playlist that you want to share with me, I listen to literally everything. I will listen to pots and pans banging together. Put it in the comments. I will listen to it. And if you want to listen to me yap about fucking anything else, and you want to go find my content anywhere else, everywhere else, I'm Cody Jacob.